It's now my privilege to present the gavel of the United States House of Representatives to the first woman speaker in our history, the gentlelady from California, Nancy Pelosi.
And to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, I extend to you this gavel.
Nancy Pelosi making history twice. Pelosi, the first female House Speaker, as you heard, in history when she got the gavel in 2007. Then she became Speaker a second time when Democrats won the House majority last year. Now, she's been a huge fixture in American politics for decades. She was instrumental in getting Obamacare passed. Here she is leading Democrats up the Capitol steps before that historic vote. And she's been working to protect the Affordable Care Act from Republican attacks pretty much ever since. Pelosi also got a ton of attention at the State of the Union address, even though she didn't say a word. Check out her reaction to one of the president's more disingenuous comments.
We must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
That famous hand clap. Now, over the past couple of years, Pelosi, she's made headlines for, frankly, standing up to Trump. Here she is literally standing in a photo that has gone viral. It shows the speaker confronting the president over his decision to abandon the Kurds and pull U.S. troops from Syria. That move helped Russia, and Pelosi said after the meeting that with Trump, all roads lead to Putin. Pelosi, she's making history again as she's leading the charge that will likely lead to the impeachment of the President of the United States. Here she is yesterday after she announced that they are going ahead with impeachment.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do you hate the president, Madam Speaker?
I don't hate anybody.
Representative Collins,
I was raised in a Catholic house. We don't hate anybody, not anybody in the world. So don't accuse me.
I did not accuse you. I think it's an important point.
I think the president is a coward when it comes to helping our kids who are afraid of gun violence. I think he is cruel when he doesn't deal with helping our dreamers, of which we're very proud. I think he's in denial about the climate crisis. However, that's about the election. This is about the elect. Take it up in the election. This is about the Constitution of the United States and the facts that lead to the president's violation of his oath of office. So don't mess with me when it comes to words like that.
Pelosi's daughter, Christine, well, she's just written a book about her mom. It is called The Nancy Pelosi Way, and I recently spoke with the author. Thanks so much for the time, Christine. I come from this, in the first question, from a unique perspective in that Nita Lowey, Congresswoman from New York, outgoing appropriations chair, good friend of your mom's. And she at one point turned to me after the 2016 election, the haze had cleared, and your mom beat back leadership challenges. And then she talked to me in the context of just the last few weeks and says, can you believe Nancy? And I'm repeating her, I'm not doing shorthand. She went from being challenged to now she's maybe the most powerful Democrat in the country. You've had a first row perspective to that. I don't think it's hyperbole. I mean, a lot of folks wanted to pry the speakership job, or at least the minority leader job at that point, to now being that everybody defers to her to be the best person to take Trump on directly. Or even you surprised at the turn of events?
Well, I think that one of the things we talk about in the Nancy Pelosi way is the fact that after the 2016 election, there were many people who felt, and some still do feel, in the words of Joyanne Reid, speaking of the presidential race this time, that some people wanted to flee to the safety of the white male candidate. And I think that with Hillary's historic run and then her losing, there were people who said, oh, well, we shouldn't have a woman because a woman just lost, and we don't want a person of color because Trump was elected in part on a backlash against having an African-American president, Barack Obama. But the fact of the matter is Nancy Pelosi knows her power, knows the people that she leads, and her speakership and leadership has never been in doubt because she knows that she can weave a coalition from among the members of her very, very diverse caucus. So many, many, many people have lost money betting against her, but I never would.
In part, your book addresses certain rules that work not just for politics, but in other places. You talk about proper preparation. I'm curious, because she owns office space in Trump's head. She can get there and get to him like nobody else. How much of that's organic? I know, when he throws a tantrum in the Oval and nobody sees it coming, you can't plan for that. But some of the stuff she can. I mean, the famous sideways clap that she gave him at the State of the Union, et cetera. How much of that is planned because she knows who she's dealing with, and how much of that's off the cuff?
One of the things that my parents, Nancy and Paul Pelosi, always told us was that proper preparation prevents poor performance. We had to do our homework. We couldn't sit around complaining about it or questioning the existential need for homework. We had to do it and do it well and be prepared. Same with the other obligations and responsibilities of our childhood and of their parenthood. And I think that one of the keys to understanding the interaction between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump is her great reverence for the office of the presidency, a reverence which far exceeds his when it comes to his behavior in office. And I think that that is what always sort of flummoxes him, that she wears the criticism very well because she sees it as a badge of her effectiveness. And that is something that Donald Trump cannot understand because he's a bully, and bullies go for a reaction, and she never, ever, ever gives him the satisfaction. As she always said to us when we were little kids and we would argue and tease each other, she would say, "Never take the bait."
Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the elephant in the room, which is the impeachment proceedings ongoing. In fact, at the hearings at Judiciary, once again, the Speaker was referenced after she called the President an imposter at one point. There is this debate as to how broad to make the charges, how many charges to bring, the timetable, whether to move it quickly along given the political calendar year of next year, or to try and give more time to bring more witnesses and evidence into the final case, assuming it goes to the Senate. How does the Speaker figure out the right calculation? Because there's politics, there's obviously a case involved, there's a lot of moving parts. At the end of the day, most Democrats, at least according to polls, their first priority is they don't want 4 more years of Trump.
Well, again, one thing that we talk about in the Nancy Pelosi Way is the fact that her biggest lesson to people is be your own authentic self and do things because of your call to service and your purpose and not influenced by what somebody else does. When it comes to impeachment, she has always said it's very, very sad for the country. It is based on Congress's responsibility under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. And the fact of the matter is, when the Ukraine bribery situation came along and happened in plain sight, she really was left with no other choice but to begin an impeachment inquiry. She has always said we have to follow the facts. We also have to legislate and litigate along with investigate at the same time. So impeachment isn't a substitute for the work that she continues to do to try to pass and protect health care reforms, to pass gun violence prevention, hundreds of bills sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. So as you're weaving that together and focusing on the work to be done for the people, there's also the element that says we must follow the facts. And one thing that Nancy Pelosi has said over and over again is that forget the politics. There are horrible things that Donald Trump does. He established a new rule that will take food out of the mouths of over 700,000 poor children in America. That is completely immoral. It's also not impeachable. That's for the election. What is for the impeachment inquiry are high crimes and misdemeanors as defined by the evidence as it comes in. So I think you'll see her move carefully and cautiously and not commit to a particular timeline because she has to follow the facts and let the chips fall where they may. And that may not be convenient for some people who want a particular pace, but it will move at the speed of justice.
Well, there's a lot in this book, obviously not just about politics. It's the Nancy Pelosi Way from somebody who obviously knows her quite well, Christine Pelosi. Christine, thank you very much for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Richard. Thank you very much.
And up next, Newark is suing New York City in federal court. In the suit, it involves the homeless. We'll explain what's going on after the break.